I used to walk these streets with my head held high. We all did. Oak Ridge Estates wasn't just a neighborhood, it was a promise. Safe streets. Friendly faces. A place where kids could play until sunset. But that promise, it was a lie. This is Tyler. My son. A straight-A student. A volunteer at the animal shelter. A kid who believed rules existed to protect people. But on October 12, 2024, rules didn't protect him. They nearly killed him. 21 broken bones. A shattered collarbone. A punctured lung. All because he parked his car in front of our own home. All because the people we trusted to keep us safe decided they could play judge, jury, and executioner. This isn't just a story about a broken system. This is about how ordinary people, teachers, nurses, retirees, uncovered a web of greed, violence, and lies hiding behind perfectly trimmed hedges and spotless sidewalks. My name is Frank. For 2 years, I've kept silent. Not anymore. Tonight, you'll hear the recordings they tried to bury. You'll see the documents they thought we'd never find. And you'll meet the neighbors who risked everything to fight back. This is the truth they never wanted you to hear. I'm a parent. A neighbor. And, until this happened, just another resident of Oak Ridge Estates. The kind of place you move to when you want your kids to ride their bikes until dinner, when you want to wave at your mailman and actually know his name. For years, I thought I'd found it. The American dream, right here on Maple Lane. Tyler was always the life of the party. The kid who'd help carry groceries for Mrs. Jenkins, mow lawns for free, organize pickup basketball games in the cul-de-sac. He wanted to be a doctor, you know. Said he wanted to fix people. I used to joke that he was the only teenager in America who still called his grandma every Sunday. We moved here for safety. For community. For peace of mind. Oak Ridge Estates was supposed to be a sanctuary. Lush lawns, friendly faces, the kind of place where you could leave your front door unlocked and never think twice. But behind every perfect hedge, every smiling neighbor, there are rules. And in Oak Ridge, the rules were everywhere. The Homeowners Association, HOA, was the glue that held the place together. Or so we thought. The HOA was supposed to protect our investment, keep the neighborhood clean, safe, and orderly. They managed the pool, the parks, and the annual block party. They also managed the security force, private officers in crisp uniforms, driving spotless SUVs, always ready with a wave and a smile. Mrs. Jenkins. At first, it was just annoying. You know, little things, get a letter if your grass is too long, or if you leave your trash bins out an extra day. We'd laugh about it at the book club. But then it got scary. They started handing out fines like candy. People were afraid to park their cars on the street, even for a few minutes. Mr. Patel. I got a warning for having my basketball hoop out. Next week, it was a $50 fine for my son's bike being left on the sidewalk. It felt like they were watching us all the time. The rules kept getting stricter. The fees went up. The security patrols became more aggressive. It was like the neighborhood was changing, and not for the better. But we all told ourselves it was worth it. After all, you can't have order without a little discipline, right? HOA President. We're just enforcing the rules everyone agreed to. It's for your own good. For the good of the community. We grumbled, but we complied. What else could we do? The HOA had the power to fine us, to take us to court, even to put a lien on our homes. Most of us just wanted to keep our heads down and avoid trouble. But then, a simple parking dispute changed everything. I remember the day so clearly. Tyler had just come home from his shift at the animal shelter. He was tired, but happy. He parked his car right in front of our house, just like he'd done 100 times before. But this time, it was different. I watched from the kitchen window. I saw the look on Tyler's face, confused, then frustrated, then something else. I couldn't hear what was said, but I could see the tension. The way the officers squared their shoulders. The way Tyler's hands went up, palms out, trying to explain. You'd think a parking ticket would be the worst of it, right? Just a fine, maybe a warning. That's what I thought. That's what any parent would think. But that day, the rules didn't protect us. They became weapons. And in the blink of an eye, our lives changed forever. How did we get here? How did a community built on trust and safety become a place where fear ruled the streets? It was supposed to be a normal afternoon. Tyler had just come home from volunteering at the animal shelter. He tossed his backpack in the hallway and called out, "Hey, Mom, I'll just be a minute." I remember smiling, thinking how grown he sounded. He parked his car in front of our house, like he always did. I didn't know it then, but that was the last time I'd see him standing on his own 2 feet for a long, long time. I watched from the window, thinking it was just another silly citation. Maybe a warning. Tyler was always polite, always respectful. But something was different this time. The officers didn't smile. They didn't listen. I heard the shouting. Then, I heard Tyler scream. By the time I ran outside, he was on the ground. Motionless. The officers were standing over him, radios crackling. I dropped to my knees. His face was pale, his breathing shallow. His arm was bent at an impossible angle. They told me to stay back. They told me it was a procedure. But all I saw was my son, my boy, broken and bleeding on our front lawn. Tyler suffered 21 fractures, ribs, collarbone, arm, leg. He had a punctured lung and a severe concussion. Frankly, it's a miracle he survived. Injuries like these are more common in high-speed car accidents, not neighborhood disputes. I sat by his bed for days, listening to the machines, praying for a sign. The doctors said he was lucky. I didn't feel lucky. I felt angry. I felt betrayed. I wanted answers. I wanted to know how this could happen. I called the HOA office. They told me it was an unfortunate misunderstanding. They said Tyler had been uncooperative. They said their officers were just doing their job. I asked for the security footage. They said it was under review. I asked for the officers' names. They said it was confidential. Stonewalled. Brushed off. Treated like I was the problem. I felt powerless. But I couldn't let this go. Not after what they did to my son. Mrs. Jenkins. I heard about Tyler. I'm so sorry. You know, something similar happened to my grandson last year. They threatened to tow his car. He was only visiting for the weekend. Mr. Patel. They fined me for having my porch light out. When I complained, I started getting warnings for everything: trash bins, weeds, even my mailbox paint. It's like they're targeting anyone who speaks up. We realized this wasn't an isolated incident. The HOA security had been harassing, threatening, and intimidating residents for months, maybe years. But no one had ever fought back. Until now. I started digging. I found out the security chief had been fired from his last job for excessive force. I found complaints from other neighborhoods, stories of intimidation, even violence. I found financial records that didn't add up, thousands of dollars in unexplained fees, payments to shell companies, liens placed on homes without warning. The more I found, the worse it got. Residents who questioned the HOA were fined, threatened, even forced to sell their homes. Anonymous notes started showing up in my mailbox. Drop it, or you'll regret it. My hands would shake every time I opened the door. I wasn't alone. Together, we started gathering evidence. We recorded meetings, took photos, and compared notes. We met in secret, afraid of who might be listening. But we refused to be silenced. Neighbor, laughing. If they ever make a movie about this, I want Brad Pitt to play me. We became a team. A family. We weren't just fighting for Tyler anymore. We were fighting for all of us. Lawyer. You have a strong case. But this will get ugly. They'll fight back. Are you ready for that? I didn't have a choice. I owed it to Tyler. I owed it to my neighbors. We started filing complaints, contacting journalists. We sent our evidence to anyone who would listen. We were going to expose the truth, no matter the cost. For Tyler. For Oak Ridge. For every community that's ever been silenced by those who were supposed to protect them. This was just the beginning. We had no idea how deep it went, or how far we'd have to go to bring them to justice. After months of sleepless nights and whispered meetings, everything changed with a single phone call. The FBI was coming. They had seen our evidence, read our statements, and now, they were ready to act. It was surreal, watching the same streets where Tyler learned to ride his bike now crawling with law enforcement. The security chief was led away in handcuffs. Boxes of files were carried out of the HOA office. For the first time in months, I felt hope. Agent Ramirez. The evidence was overwhelming. We found financial records, hidden cameras, even recordings of meetings where violence was discussed as a way to maintain order. This wasn't just about one family, it was a pattern. A system built on fear and control. Legal expert. Homeowners associations have power, but they are not above the law. When that power is abused, it's not just a civil matter, it can become criminal. This case set a precedent. As the investigation deepened, the true scope of the corruption came to light. Kickbacks, fraud, threats, and a network of intimidation that had kept us all in line. But now, the silence has been broken. The trial was brutal. I had to relive every moment, every scream, every tear, every sleepless night. Tyler took the stand, his voice shaking but clear. He described the attack, the pain, the fear. Our neighbors spoke up, too. We weren't alone anymore. There were days I wanted to give up. Days when the defense tried to twist the truth, to blame Tyler, to paint us as troublemakers. But every time I looked at my son, I knew we had to keep going. Tyler. I was scared. But I knew if I didn't speak up, they'd do it again. Maybe to someone else's kid. I couldn't let that happen. When the verdict came, I cried. Guilty. On all counts. The security chief, the officers, even members of the HOA board, they were all held accountable. Some faced prison, others heavy fines and bans from ever serving in such roles again. Tyler's recovery was long and painful. Surgeries, physical therapy, nights spent wondering if things would ever be normal again. But our fight gave us purpose. It brought us closer together, not just as a family, but as a community. Neighbor. We found our voice. We realized we didn't have to be afraid. We could stand up for each other. We changed the rules. We changed the leadership. We made sure nothing like this could ever happen again. For the first time in a long time, Oak Ridge felt like home. I learned that justice isn't given. It's fought for. It's built, day by day, by people who refuse to be silent. People who refuse to let fear win. The people who hurt my son, who tried to silence us, are gone. The pain they caused will never fully disappear. But we turned our pain into action. Our story became a warning, and a call to arms. If you're watching this, and you're scared, know this, you are not alone. Stand up. Speak out. Find your allies. Justice is possible. Change is possible. We are living proof. If you've made it this far, thank you. Thank you for listening, not just to my story, but to the story of every family who's ever felt powerless in the face of authority. I never imagined our lives would become a lesson for others. But here we are. And if there's one thing I want you to take away from all of this, it's this. If you or someone you love has been harmed by those in power, don't stay silent. I know it's hard. I know it's scary. But silence only protects the ones who abuse their authority. Document everything, every letter, every conversation, every incident. Keep records, take photos, save emails. Find allies, neighbors, friends, people who will stand with you when it feels like the world is against you. Demand accountability. Don't let them tell you your voice doesn't matter. Because it does. It absolutely does. There are resources out there, people and organizations who can help. Legal aid clinics, community advocacy groups, journalists willing to listen. We've listed some of them below. You don't have to fight alone. We didn't. And that made all the difference. We can't undo what happened to Tyler. The scars, physical and emotional, will always be there. But by sharing our story, we can help others stand up for justice. We can make sure that what happened to us doesn't happen to anyone else. This isn't just about one neighborhood, or one family. It's about all of us. It's about the power we have when we come together, when we refuse to be silenced, when we demand better. Justice isn't easy. Change isn't quick. But it's possible. And it's worth it. Thank you for listening. Thank you for believing. And thank you for fighting, for your family, for your community, for what's right.